My name is Dipti and I welcome you all to study another interesting topic from our syllabus. How do organisms reproduce? This topic we are going to study in certain modules. So let us begin with the first module talking about the introduction to the chapter. Let's focus on the title. The title says, how do organisms reproduce? But before this, students, let us understand why do organisms reproduce. Before we move into the methods of reproduction, let us first understand the importance of reproduction. Whether is it really essential for every organism to reproduce? In the chapter of life processes, let me take you back down the memory lane. We studied some interesting life processes like nutrition, respiration, excretion, etc. All these life processes were very much necessary for our survival, for our day-to-day life to move on smoothly. But reproduction is not necessary to maintain the life of an individual organism, students. It is indeed a life process, but it is not a life process that is crucial for our day-to-day survival. Then it takes us to the basic question, why do organisms reproduce? Also thinking of the process of reproduction, an individual organism where it is going to create more individuals, it takes a lot of energy. The process of reproduction takes a lot of energy from an individual's life, from an individual's body. Then if this is going to take a lot of energy, if it is going to waste a lot of energy, why do individuals reproduce if it is not necessary for them to stay alive? Okay, let us move further. Isn't it very obvious that we notice organisms because they reproduce? Imagine, students, if there were only one non-reproducing member of every particular kind. It is doubtful that we would have noticed its existence. Imagine only one human being on this earth non-reproducing. You and me, we wouldn't have existed at all. Amoeba, very initial organism to come on this earth, had it not been reproducing, we wouldn't have known amoeba ever existed, or we wouldn't have seen it. Another classic example, dinosaurs. Why don't we see them today? Because they could not reproduce and increase their numbers. Now, it is the large number of organisms belonging to a single species that bring them to our notice. Organisms, because they are present in large numbers, we feel their existence on this earth. We notice them in our surroundings. We see them around each other in our day-to-day lives. Students, how do we know that two different individual organisms belong to the same species? When we look around ourselves, there is a great deal of biodiversity. Then with this so much of biodiversity, how can we say two individuals are similar to each other? Simple answer, because they look like each other. Observe in the diagram adjacent to me, there are two sheep. They look very much like each other. So that's the reason we say they belong to the same species. The two fish, they look very much like each other, because we can say they belong to the same species. So that means reproducing organisms create new individuals that very much look like themselves. In other words, reproducing organisms produce a new organism belonging to their own species. A cat will always give birth to kittens. A dog will give always birth to puppies. A human being will always give birth to human beings. A rose plant will always bear a rose flower. A papaya plant will always bear a papaya. So that means, can we say, if they are going to give birth to the individuals of the same species, so are the organisms that are being produced identical? Do organisms create exact copies of themselves? Let us find out the answer for this in our next module.